All right, folks, I would like to go through our argumentative essay writing rubric together and make sure everyone's on the same page so you know what to expect when we go through and actually start assessing your essays. So again, our prompt: what is an event in US history that we have studied this year where the country had to deal with a crisis yet overcame those challenges? How did this event and our response to it provoke your thinking, change your viewpoint, or make you just realize something is really important? So again, that's our prompt, pretty open-ended, which is on purpose, right? We want you thinking on your own and coming up with your own arguments, your own claims. It's really a historical skill that we've been working on all year, and now you're kind of getting your chance to do your own research, do your own writing on a topic. But the only kind of thing that we're making sure that you're focusing on is it a crisis, and how did we overcome that crisis? So that's really what you're thinking about, drawing that bridge from past to present. So something that's happened way in the past, any time between 1901 and 2001, that's kind of our time period for this US history course, our curriculum. What is something that happened that we would consider to be a crisis? And again, that could be economically, militarily, politically, socially, health related, certainly anything that you would deem to be a crisis in our nation's history. So make sure you, first of all, have picked out what your crisis is. I know I went through a ton of brainstorms, had some really great ideas already. So I'm looking forward to going through these outlines. So before I do that, though, I wanted to make sure I posted the rubric and you all knew how you were being graded. So first of all, you're going to hook in your reader. You're going to tell your reader right away why they should keep reading. Okay, so I am one of the readers, Mr. S is one of the readers, but there could be other readers out there too. So how could you get them to want to keep reading? You're going to engage them right away. Then you're going to have your context. So we've talked all year about context, and that simply, once again, is getting the reader prepared for your thesis statement, kind of giving them the background information that they need in order to have a better understanding of your thesis statement and the information that's going to come after that. So your thesis is going to explicitly develop a position. So you're making a claim right away. You're claiming that something in our nation's history was a crisis, and that we have overcome, or we're continuing to work on overcoming that crisis. So that should be explicitly in your thesis statement, and then also creating that organization for the reader. So what is to come? What is your essay really going to be about? So you're making an argument and then organizing how that argument is going to be laid out in your essay. Then you have the historical content and claim. So this is where your history is super important. This is what makes this a history essay and not just any old essay. This is where you're going to be doing your own research, which you can do it, all right? Make sure you've watched Mr. S's Rockin' Research Tips. He's got a lot of great information, a lot of great tips out there for how to get really good historical evidence for your claims. But we want to make sure we're specifying and giving really key pieces of information, and then developing our claim. So it's not just a quote, it's not just a statistic or a fact, which some of us have been doing throughout the year, but it's also, how does that then connect, right? How do we go back to our claim to prove how the evidence connects to the claim? Okay, how are they married? How are they together? Developing claims with clear, detailed evidence. Okay, so again, you're either throwing out that information that's specific and detailed, and you're not just making big claims without any specifics, right? You're not just throwing out information without it being backed up. So make sure that that's clear and detailed. No fillers. So that just means fluff. Okay, we don't want fluffy writing. That's what I call it. So you can, don't need to use a thesaurus. You don't need to get all fancy schmancy. You just are going to give the information that we need, and you don't need to embellish. You don't need to make it sound, foofy. Okay. Demonstrate your firm understanding of your content. So whatever it is that you chose as your crisis, make sure you're showing off that you really understand this piece of history. Transitions and cohesion, this is more on the writing piece. So looking at, does it flow well together? Does it make sense? Does it connect? It's not just really choppy. We want to make sure that it's overall well written. Technical merit, of course, we every once in a while have a punctuation or a word that's spelled wrong, but please do make sure you're going back through and doing a spell check. That is going to be part of your grade. Conclusion, paragraph. So wrap it all up. This is the lesson, right? This is throughout your essay, you've been talking about a crisis and what we did to overcome it. And here's some proof of how that worked. And what is the overall message then? What is the overall lesson that Americans have learned from all the stuff that you just told us? Okay, so wrap it all up. I like to call it wrap it up in a pretty bow and leave that reader with a lasting impression. They should finish reading your essay and go, aha, right? Like that makes sense. Now I understand something about history and this lesson has been learned. All right, research and citation. So you are using MLA or APA format. You need at least 3 sources. Traditionally, I would say that it needs to be at least 1 physical copy and 1 or 2 web or internet sources. But I know a lot of you are limited to the physical copies that you have around you, maybe just your textbook, or if you have other books available in your house, that's awesome too. Or some people asked about doing interviews, which is, I think, a really cool idea. Some people asked about newspaper clippings that they had. That's awesome. So definitely use what you have available to you. Overall, this is worth 35 points. And then at the end here, I just posted the state standards that we're really looking at. So you're making sure you're exploring evidence and gathering a variety of sources. You are creating a defensible claim. You've already done that, hopefully, with your outlines. And then evaluating historical context as influenced by the process or nature of the continuity and change. So that's another big piece of our state standards, is looking at how things change over time. So those are our state standards we're going to be hitting, along with a few others, but those are the big ones. And then this is your rubric. Please let me know if you have questions. Let me know how I can help. Mr. S, I know, is always willing to help as well. So good luck and keep in touch.